ECOWAS Chairman, President Bola Tinubu, has sent 2 more delegations to Niger Republic. Former Head of State, General Abdel Abubakar, leads the first delegation to Niamey to seek a peaceful resolution to the coup. The Sultan of Sokoto and the President of ECOWAS Commission will join the delegation. Now, Ambassador Babagana Kingibe leads the second delegation to engage with the leaders of Libya and Algeria on the crisis. Both delegations say they are optimistic in finding a resolution to crisis.
We have just been given our marching orders to go to Niger and convey the feelings of our heads of states in the ECOWAS region that they are not happy with what has happened. And they gave them an ultimatum that the coup peace should desist from what they are doing and give back power to an elected president. And again, to make sure that this message is sent loud and clear to them.
This kind of situation requires solidarity, it requires coordination with all parties that could bring that are relevant to the situation. In that regard, as you know, Libya and Algeria are also very important neighbors of Niger. So my mission is to go there with a message from President Tinubu to brief them on the ECOWAS position and solicit their solidarity and cooperation.
Well, joined now by the Commissioner for Political Affairs at ECOWAS, Abdel Musah, who's in the studio with us. Thanks for being here. Now, we just heard about the 2 delegations dispatched by President Bola Tinubu. Can you elaborate more on their specific objectives and the sort of diplomatic approach they would be expected to take to douse the impasse going on in Niger?
Okay, no, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Look, there are a number of factors that have led us to this point where we are. Over the last 3 years, we have experienced an epidemic of coups in our region. And not long ago, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu was elected as the chairman of the ECOWAS authority with a very strong mandate and his commitment to make sure that that contagion is stopped. And that is it. So it is within that framework, that the coup d'etat occurred, or the hostage situation, as some would want to term it, occurred on the 26th of July, in Niger. And so immediately there was an emergency summit. We took very strong decisions, giving the coup plotters a week to reinstate the deposed president, that is Mohamed Bazoum, or face consequences. In addition to that, a raft of sanctions were imposed on them, targeted, border closure, and a whole lot of others. Yesterday, I co-chaired the meeting of the Chiefs of Defense Staff of the ECOWAS sub-region, which is also deciding on options for an eventual military intervention if all other means fail to return the president back to his seat. So this is where we are. ECOWAS has an array of tools in its arsenal, and we want to exhaust the diplomatic channel. And it is within that framework that His Excellency General Abdel Abubakar and the Sultan of Sokoto and the President of the ECOWAS Commission left today for Niger to go and, as we just heard, to go and read more or less the riot act to the coup plotters. There is also a parallel track by His Excellency Kingibe, who will be also in Algeria and Libya, with the same message, because we need the cooperation and the collaboration of all partners to make sure that maximum pressure is brought to bear on the military leaders in the country to make sure that constitutional order is restored as soon as possible.
Interesting. It's beginning to now take shape, like the diplomatic approaches here and there are beginning to take shape. Now that military intervention has been stepped down as a last resort,
Yes.
speak to us about the impact of that on talks, intervention talks in this situation.
The impact of what, if you could come again?
Now that military intervention has been stepped down,
Yeah.
speak to us about the impact of stepping down the
Yes.
military interventions
Yeah.
on talks, on
Yeah.
intervention talks.
Nobody has stepped down on the military intervention. We said we've got an array of tools. ECOWAS did not choose to use the military option
Yeah.
as the first option.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what
So-
I'm saying. It's been said as a last resort.
Yeah, it's
the
yes,
last resort.
exactly. So, but if you say it is stepping down, it means that
Okay,
probably
okay. In your
we are
balance,
de-emphasizing.
I get what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
That means in your balance, that's
Yes.
what it means. Where
Exactly.
Now
It's the
that
last
it's
resort.
been moved to the last resort. Yeah. Okay.
We are approaching it on an incremental basis.
Yeah.
Okay, so diplomacy is being given maximum opportunity
priority,
to work.
yeah.
First priority. If that fails, then all other options, including the military option,
Yeah.
will be on the table. So that is the position
Yes.
of ECOWAS.
Now speak to us about how that can drive intervention talks.
Yeah, no, definitely. In all situations, as we have in Niger today, you have to use the carrot and the stick.
Right.
Right? We are combining the two. So we are trying to convince them that all of them have signed up to relevant ECOWAS protocols, particularly the Supplementary Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, that declares zero tolerance for power obtained or maintained by unconstitutional means. Niger is signatory to that protocol. So they have flouted that, and we want them to reverse the situation. So this is where we are, and if persuasion will not sort of make them change tact and then hand over restore constitutional order, then all the other options will be on board.
Now, today being the Independence Day in Niger, it's quite unusual. There's no celebration. In Niamey, you're seeing protest. They're protesting mainly two things. Strong anti-French sentiments that we can see. They're also protesting against some of the ECOWAS sanctions. Can you elaborate more on why there's so much anti-French sentiments? We've seen evacuation flights, I think 3, evacuating French nationals and I think some U.S. embassy workers as well.
Others. Let me give you some background. France, has perfected its policy of France-Afrique in West Africa, where France has the first option in all relations with these countries. Meanwhile, some of these countries, in terms of natural resources, are among the richest. Niger, in particular, produces 7% of global uranium. France depends on nuclear energy. 70% of its power comes from nuclear energy, and most of this is sourced from Niger, right? But the Nigerians remain among the poorest in the world. If you take the United Nations Human Development Index, they are the last. So there has been this avalanche of anti-French sentiment across board, in the Sahel in particular. If you remember, Mali has already expelled the French forces from the country. Burkina Faso has done the same. So the only country left standing was Niger. And all the forces that left Mali converged there, which also increased the anti-French sentiment among the local populations against them. So that is one factor that I want to bring in. In terms of ECOWAS, you see there is a lot of misinformation, disinformation that is going on. But of course, you cannot make omelets without breaking eggs. Right. That is the situation that we have now. Wide-ranging sanctions have been imposed on the country, including border closure. Others are saying Nigeria has already switched off electricity supply to the country. Of course, this will naturally affect also ordinary people. But it is also part of the maximum pressure we are put in economic, financial, and all other diplomatic all combined to make sure that the military officers in that country see reason and restore constitutional order. So, of course, the population will suffer. And, of course, some of them are misguided. They feel that maybe ECOWAS is being teleguided by the Europeans, the French. That's why they are doing, because our positions tend to coincide at this particular point. But ECOWAS has got its independent policy, and this is what we try to explain to the populations in the country.
Doctor, see, it's also looking like there are external forces in this situation, and some are saying ECOWAS doesn't have the support or the enough backbone, enough strength, capacity to fight through this battle. What's your reaction to that?
Those saying that are misguided, they are misinformed.
Well, because Russia is in the corner. I mean, looking at the turn of events.
Yes, Russia has already asked for a return to constitutional order. Russia will never choose Niger over West Africa. Its interest itself will be seriously impacted.
Right.
Okay, China the same. Okay, so you've got, of course, there are 3 other countries in West Africa which are all ruled by military juntas. You've got Burkina Faso, you've got Mali, you've got Guinea, who say they stand in solidarity with Niger. But who are they compared to the rest of the West African countries? Yesterday, all the chiefs of defense staff of the other member states of ECOWAS promised, that they are ever ready to deploy. Nigeria in the leadership, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and all the major countries, Senegal and others, all of them are already pledging troops and pledging capabilities, for this. So there is just no way when it comes to the military option, Niger can stand the force of the rest of West Africa. And those other countries who claim that they are going to be on the side of Niger, they don't even have control over their own territory. Terrorists are occupying almost 70% of Burkina Faso.
But we cannot take that for granted, Doctor. How is ECOWAS also ensuring that those borders are shut down, closed temporarily, such that they do not sympathize, quote unquote, and then join forces against any peace interventions?
Yeah, listen, the most important border of Niger in West Africa is the border with Nigeria. Niger depends a lot for its economic survival and its economic relations with Nigeria. It uses the port of Benin, for most of its import and export trade. Right. Those 2 countries are parties to the border closure, right? When it comes to Burkina Faso, what exactly is Burkina Faso going to provide, to Niger, or for that matter Mali? And what we are saying is that we don't care about those borders simply because even the military regimes in Mali and in Burkina Faso do not control those borders. They are actually under the control of jihadists today as we speak. So these forces will have to eliminate those terrorists along their border before even they can get access to Niger in the first place. Whereas it is different altogether from Nigeria and from the other West African countries. So we are studying all these possibilities, right, in the region, and we are not going to, of course, disclose our strategy, our concept of operations and others. But when the time comes, you will see that ECOWAS will call the bluff of those who say they will stand up to us.
All right, thank you so much for being here. I think we have one more question. No, we don't. We don't have any more time. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll take other stories now.
Ambassador Abdel Musah is Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, ECOWAS. Thank you very much indeed for joining us on Newsnight.